This episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. If you've watched the show for a while, then you know I have ADHD, or if you just watched this episode, I'm sure you'll figure out that I have ADHD. If you're new here, it's hard to miss. But having ADHD also makes it really hard for me to make appointments. Things like that feel really overwhelming and like very stressful and tend to take me a long time to do if I do them ever. Sometimes I just push them off indefinitely until I found out about ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with over 100,000 healthcare providers in every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and so much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically between 24 and 72 hours after booking, and you can even snag some same-day appointments. I've used ZocDoc, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's been avoiding booking their doctor's appointments. Stop putting them off and go to ZocDoc.com/exes. Find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/exes. One more time, ZocDoc.com/exes. Okay, hi guys, welcome back to X's and O's. I'm your host, Shannon Beveridge, and you are again in my living room. My house is slowly coming together, and you guys have not seen it yet. And also, did you know when you buy furniture, it doesn't come for 6 to 8 weeks? Somehow I am 32 and I know nothing about being an adult. I don't know how it happened. I really don't. Like, I woke up one day and it was like, whoa. I realized that I've never really invested in like nice furniture. Most of the furniture I own, I got on Facebook Marketplace or has been gifted to me or I've just had for a really long time, or it's from IKEA. I've never bought furniture. And I know I've seen this, you know, I see online when people are like, oh, there's back orders and it takes so long to get stuff. But that never affected my life. So I didn't really watch those videos. Those TikToks, they weren't for me. Now they're for me. Now I'm understanding. I got a couch. It won't be here for 6 to 8 weeks. Tragic. Don't love. Not obsessed. Kind of sad about it. Sort of sick of my old couch. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you know that my girlfriend Becca likes to spill on my clothes. Well, she doesn't like to. It's an accident, and I forgive her. We both have ADHD, and she does not even know that it happened most of the time. I'm like, Becca, half your coffee's on my shirt. She's like, whoa. So, and that's fine. I love her anyway. But the irony is the couch is like a white couch. And I've just not been caring about the couch because I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting a new couch. Becca has spilled a couple times on the couch, and Bear has been tearing the couch to shreds. But this whole time I'm thinking, oh, it's okay. This is a temporary couch. And the couch I got originally, I'm not kidding y'all, for $200 on Facebook Marketplace. So, and it's already lasted me 3 years. I've had that couch for 3 years. So I feel like it's really like done the trick. Sorry, my camera is like falling if you're watching. I am filming on my iPhone and it keeps slipping. But yeah, so I wasn't really caring about the couch because I'm thinking I'm getting a new couch any second. It won't be here for 6 to 8 weeks. So tis what it is. I don't really care, honestly. I really don't care, other than the fact that I want to show y'all my house and do like a house tour. So that part sucks. But I will say that the mattress for my studio comes this week. Supposedly it is coming this week, which means technically after it's here, we can start filming in the studio. I can start filming at home again. And yeah, I'll be done with the set that you guys are seeing right now, which I'm so excited for, just because I feel like the set is just giving more like corporate vibes, and like it's just not the same as what my OG thing was. But if you've been listening, I'm sure it probably sounds really good because it's like all their mics and their setup, and they've got stands and all the things that you guys are always telling me I need to get for my room, which I will have coming up. Anyway, that's all I have for the update on my house and my studio. Shortly, it will be up shortly. I'm finally getting a lot of complaints about the other studio, so now I'm getting stressed. I'm like, no, truly, I want it as badly as you want me to be in a bed with my guests. I want that too, because I miss it for so many reasons. And also, I'm sick of sitting in traffic. I have to drive. I feel like I'm like commuting to work. It's crazy. Never had that experience either. Never bought furniture, never commuted to work. I'm kidding. I've had jobs. What am I talking about? A job at a bar. I was a bartender. I had a past life before YouTube, but you guys really have only seen me like this. Last week, I talked about Love is Blind. I said I really want a lesbian Love is Blind, and I opened up the question to y'all, how would you make a lesbian Love is Blind? Because how would you separate the group? Because a huge part of the show, and a really interesting part of the show at the beginning, is the communal space behind the scenes, you know, when they're coming out of the dates and they're talking to each other. And I'm like, how would you do that with all like women loving women? How would you make that happen? Because how would you separate them into two? You're not going to separate them masks and femmes or whatever, anything like heteronormative like that. So how would you separate it? And I asked y'all what you thought. And I did get some good responses that I wanted to share. One of which was you keep them all separated until they narrow each other down. And so like at the beginning, the first few dates, they're all alone. They don't have that communal space until they've narrowed down people and cut people. And then they would regroup. The producers could regroup them and put them into two separate groups. I thought that was a good idea. But that still begs the question, what do we do if people who have been separated now see each other in real life and are like, wait, I'm into you? This person said that the producers should just encourage any relationship for the drama. And like, hopefully, because they've already decided they're incompatible via their dates that they've been on, that won't happen. But if it does happen, just like encourage the drama and maybe separate them, or just like see if they want to get engaged. I don't know. It would be chaos. It would be chaos. It would be interesting, but it would be chaotic. The other thing they said, these are all from the same person. The other thing they said was to do compatibility tests. So before you even go in, have them do compatibility tests and then separate them based off that. So hopefully people would be encouraged to know that the people that they're with are not suitable for them. And then the experiment would be authentic. And again, if people fell in love anyway, encourage it. For the drama, for the show. Okay, what do y'all think? Any more answers? I thought that was the best two things I liked the most. But if you have other ideas, let me know. I still think it should happen. Something like it should happen. And I am open to host it. So if you're watching this and you make TV shows and you want a host that is me, don't know what I was going to say. I'm like setting myself up for what? I don't know. Anyway, I would do it. Another thing. I read a book this week. I finished a book this week. The book is called Sunburn. I will put it in the bio. I actually will put it in the bio. I'm guilty of not always doing that. Great book. It's like about a secret high school relationship. It's set in Ireland. It is set in like the late 80s, early 90s. And I loved it. I thought it was really beautiful. It also really put me in my feels, really made me feel like I was in high school again. I could relate like so much with both characters in it, weirdly. And yeah, I highly recommend. I recommend it. 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 stars. I found myself today looking at my girlfriend's Instagram 3 separate times just to be like, wow, I can't believe I came out and I have a girlfriend who is so beautiful. And I am like, the life I have, I would not have it if I had not been bold enough to come out of the closet. And yeah, I was just having like a very like weirdly emotional day because of this book, but in like a positive way. Okay, one more thing. In last week's episode with Ali Blair's, I said something to the effect of most of my audience is American, which is, or maybe I said all of you, I think maybe, but it was just a mistake in the moment. Not all of you are American. Many of you are not American, and I love all of you. And I'm so sorry if you did not feel seen in that moment by me. I was not thinking, I was just thinking I didn't want to mansplain America to an audience of mine that is predominantly American. I think like 70% of my audience is American. So I was like, oh, I don't want to mansplain America to Americans, but I didn't forget about you guys, but I just was not thinking about anything other than not wanting to mansplain. 2 more things and I'm done. First thing, short things, quick things. First thing, holy shit, my hair in this episode is messed up the whole time. My bun fell out. It was supposed to be in, it fell out. Looks like a little fireball off the back of my head. Truly gives me anxiety that it looks like that. And if I was a weaker version of myself, a younger version of myself, a more self-conscious version of myself still, I think I would literally scrub this video from the internet. But because I love the conversation and I am obsessed with ER, and obviously I am not so vain as to scrub a whole entire episode of my podcast just because my bun looks bad, please just ignore my bun in this video. And know that growing your hair out, if you cut it short, is an excruciating experience that I have been living through and documenting weekly because I have this podcast. So I am so close to getting past an awkward hair length, and I just wake up every day and hope that I'm there. But guess what? Still not yet. And I'm so sorry that I'm not sorry that my hair looks bad in this episode. I'm sorry to myself. I'm sure you guys are like, I don't fucking care, but I care. So I'm sorry, Shannon. Damn it. Last and certainly not least, I am so dumb because I don't think I really fully did an intro for ER in this episode. My guest's name is ER Fightmaster. I don't know that I actually say their name properly at the beginning of the episode because I got so overwhelmed because I'm so excited that they're a guest on my podcast. I think they are so well-spoken, so smart. I literally started reading after this episode because it was like, whoa, I need to pick up a book. They are very smart. They speak way more eloquently than me, and I need to work on that. So yeah, back to reading. My deepest apologies to ER for not doing a proper intro. What's wrong with me? But anyway, enjoy this episode with ER Fightmaster. They are so lovely. All their socials are below. Follow them on everything. And I watch them on any podcast they've ever been on because I've learned more researching them than I have learned recently. What am I saying? See? Got to read more books. Y'all too. Let's all read some more books. Let me know what you're reading. Comment below, please. I'm open to anything and everything. Thank you. Okay. Enjoy this episode. Love you guys. Bye. Okay, hi guys, my name is Shannon Beveridge. Welcome back to X's and O's, a podcast where we talk about queer relationships and sex. And I'm so excited for my guest today. I'm actually so nervous. I think you're one of the most well-spoken, genius people. And so we'll see. I need to read a book, so I'm scared about what's going to happen here.
How nice. Thank you.
But you are a writer, director, actor, musician.
Yeah.
Anything, a podcast host? Mm-hmm. Anything else you got working right now? Do you do stand-up?
I've done stand-up. I like being with people.
Fair.
I started in improv, so I'm comedy based.
Second City, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you feel okay. Also, you may know them from Grey's Anatomy. First non-binary doctor on Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm. Grey's Anatomy has had so much cast at this point. I feel like they have had kind of a lot of diversity.
That's what made it impressive because it's it feels like it would be such a first non-binary, they're just grasping at things, but when you realize that they've had upwards of 4 million cast members, you're yeah, that is crazy. You're the first non-binary one.
Yeah, how did that not happen before?
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
That is wild. I can't believe Grey's Anatomy is still going. It's really
it will outlive us.
I mean, it's really impressive.
Shonda
Rhimes, very impressive.
Yeah.
Right?
It turns out people like to see themselves. The show is more diversity than any show on TV. It's family. You know what I mean? These kids I'm always shocked by how many people have rewatched the series back to front 4 times. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just a lot of people's comfort. I
mean, it makes sense because at this point, I feel like the thing about Grey's Anatomy is at this point it's almost giving Days of Our Lives or in that it is a staple in people's life.
Yeah, it's a really well done soap.
Yeah, exactly.
And with no insult to it at all. I also grew up with soap, so definitely no insult to it. But you're right. It's it's always on for some people, and we're now at the part of Grey's Anatomy where women, for example, were watching it when they were teenagers, are with their moms and their grandmothers, are now getting to the point where their kids are about to have kids. It's been on for that long. 20 years.
Yeah, that's wild and amazing. I actually have a horror story directly related to Grey's Anatomy.
All right.
I feel I've shared online at some point, but when I'm from Dallas originally, and I had a secret girlfriend kind of thing happening in high school, and we used to watch Grey's Anatomy at her house with her mother. But it was it started before a relationship started even. We were just obsessed in codependent friendships is what she calls it. But I would go to her house and we started watching Grey's Anatomy, and then the Arizona and Cali thing started. Actually, it might have been the one before that, which is Cali and Do you know?
I only know the ship names.
Yeah.
Like there's like Calzona, and then there's
I think there was the one before where Callie finds out that Callie's queer, which is with like an older doctor who is like a white woman with like, do you know what I'm talking about? I think that was the first girl situation happening. Should be like girl situation. But her mom would fast forward to the scenes.
No.
Yes. It was wild. Like,
and you're like, yeah, that is disgusting.
Literally sitting there being like, okay, so confirmed this is not okay. Like, wild to like have that experience in real time with, I mean, I feel way worse for her because it was her mother, not my own, you know, but it was, and also honestly good to know, good foreshadowing for when she did find out via baby monitor that we were together, and it did not go well.
Via baby monitor?
Yeah, they hid a baby monitor in her room.
They hid it in her room? Yes.
And then they were like, we need to talk to you. And then, yeah, from that point forward, it was like, you guys can't have sleepovers. And that's my coming out, kind of. That's my introduction to the world, knowing my queerness. So it didn't go very well.
What'd they hear?
The good thing is nothing bad. Okay. We were like, we were very innocent. Like, we're Dallas.
Yeah.
At the same time. Like,
you said Dallas the same way that all dykes from Dallas say Dallas, which is like you wince while you say it. It is crazy. It's like, it's always the exact same way. We're from Dallas.
Yeah. Like, I'm from Dallas. Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very, actually, Rebecca's from Dallas, my producer too. So we need to see if she winces too. But yeah, it's such a... This episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. Truly, the worst part about being an adult is booking your own doctor's appointments. I swear it's awful. And in my situation, I grew up with a mom who worked in a pediatric office, so it was a rude awakening becoming an adult and realizing I have to make my appointments alone. I know we always joke about schools needing to teach like finances, but they also need to teach how to book a doctor's appointment. Except for it would be too easy now because there's ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with over 100,000 healthcare providers in every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and so much more. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, who are nearby, who are a good fit for any medical need you might have, and who are highly rated by verified patients. You can also see their actual appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and click to instantly book. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically between 24 and 72 hours after booking, and you can even snag some same-day appointments. ZocDoc is as close to having my mom book my appointments for me as it gets as an adult. I've used it, and so should you. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/exes. Find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/exes. And one more time, that's ZocDoc.com/exes. Dallas is such a beast of a place. It's so looks before like actual like morals. Like it's like everyone, it's like a facade of we're good people, we do good things, we go to church on Sunday, and we're beautiful.
The Desperate Housewives, but no sex at all.
Yes, exactly. 100%. No, exactly. I was talking last week to Becca Tilley or 2 weeks ago, and she was saying like she wanted to be representation on The Bachelor, that you could stay like a virgin. I'm trying to think, what is it, like save yourself for marriage, and it could be a cool thing. And she was like, I wanted to be that representation. And I was like, that's so interesting to hear you say, because I'm from Dallas, and like that was the cool thing. Saving yourself for marriage was the cool thing. Like I didn't need any of that representation, but it makes sense that where she was from, whatever. The
idea of of not having sex to me is like actually is very cool. Like Julia Fox, when she like recently came out to be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Like you have made this so unpleasant. I'm like fully taking a break from you people.
Totally.
People being men.
Yeah, and then she came out as a lesbian.
And then it was like, I am queer. Yeah. I actually thought that was like the coolest thing that ever happened. But saving yourself for marriage, which I do think is like a form of like chattel servantry, is like, to me, not cool at all.
Yeah, less cool.
Where you're like, I am being like sold into this system, and now the government has its hands on my relationship, and my dad gave me away to another man for him to bone me for the first time in my life. The system's not appealing. No.
It's very patriarchal.
It's less than cool.
Yeah, but
But do what you want.
Yeah, listen.
No, hey.
No shame.
Yo.
In your game, you can do whatever you
please.
want. Yeah, it's just it's weird to grow up in that kind of culture too, because I still feel, even now, I'm 32 and I still feel myself.
32.
32 also.
Wow.
Now when I say that, people are like, are you 30?
We're 30 also too.
Also too.
Yeah.
32. But I still feel like I have shame around sex.
Really?
And yeah. I mean, this podcast technically is about relationships and sex. So I'm not like a prude, but it's more like in the bedroom that I feel I have more shame. Not talking about sex, not like, I even like, me and my family talk about sex. Like I talk with my mom about sex. Like it's like not that kind of shame, but like maybe more like exploratory things, like actually in the bedroom, feeling shame.
Is it nervousness or shame?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
But and also comfortability now in not allowing myself to explore things. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, am I gonna like push out of my boundary now at 32?
Yes.
No, yes, and that's where I get back to the shame. So like, why wouldn't I? Maybe it's both and.
It's like you're still mentally on track for like a Dallas woman, like where that track gets laid down, and so it's really hard to like veer off of it. But I do think that the women that I think are like really having the ones in my life that I'm seeing having these like really profound moments of like the shame dissipates are late 30s, 40s, 50s. And I think it's because women lose so much value to this patriarchal system.
Fair.
Once they get to this age, that they have to re-examine their whole understanding of self and be like, wait. Okay, so I'm either going to live out the rest of my life with no value, or the system's broken and who am I without it? And then they like go into freedom state, which I think is actually very parallel to what queer people experience.
Like, yeah, totally.
It's like we just found out a little bit earlier that like everything that we were supposed to do, we are going to have to reconfigure a way to do it in a queer way. And so we have to rethink our entire understanding. You're like seeing like the fourth dimension, which is exciting. But I do think that it's a really active practice. So there are still parts of my like, mind that are like, we'll go into shame mode, and I have to figure out if it's like who's talking.
Yeah, literally, whose voice is it in my head? I know it's my mom. I'm just kidding, Mom.
Just kidding.
She watches every week. No, that's so true. I think that's the cool thing about being a lesbian or like a woman-loving woman or whatever in general too, is that you decenter men so early on, maybe even from like your teenage years, because you're just like, wait, you are not who I care to impress. Before you even know that you're doing it, you're so much more like in tune with women and what women are wanting and what women are doing. And like, I was going over to like my friends' houses and being like, how can I help you, Mrs. Like what can I do for you? Like when you're little though. But when you're little, and then when like dads were around, I was just kind of like, okay. Yeah. Weird guy here now. Bummer. And also amazing in Dallas, they usually were working late. And then they come home and they're like, guess I have to hang out with my friend and not her mom anymore.
God damn it. Sorry. This is hot now. This is like some real Mrs. Robinson shit.
I know. Oh my God.
Consensually. Of age.
Very consensual. More like idolizing women.
No, I do get it. I felt more, I think when I was, my gender stuff puts me more, I have a lot of male friendships. And I think that being around men in a really honest way is so demystifying that I really try to explain to straight women what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where I'm like, listen.
Can you explain to me as well? Because I'm
not telling you they're bad.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you I don't like them. I love these dumb assholes. That is what they are. They're like, they're babies. They are so under emotionally developed because of a really bad.
Like a system.
Yeah, bad system. And it's not even their fault. But I think when they're like mysterious to women are like reading into all these things. I'm like, it's really not like that. Like, baby want a bottle, like a bottle. Like that is really the vibe.
It's way more black and white than you think. And
100%.
Then women, so much nuance.
Incredible.
Or anyone non-cis male.
It's so true.
So much more nuance going on.
It's so true. It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Do you feel like your gender, do you feel like your gender journey has made your coming out experience longer like coming to yourself has taken longer, like than if you were just coming out as queer?
Yes, and I think that actually it's the same for everybody. I just get asked about it the most.
Yeah.
And so I have to hone my answers all the time. And like I have to be constantly asking myself these questions about gender. And so it's like when you come out and, you come out as, you're a lesbian or you're bi or whatever, and you come out, if you stop there, people assume a lot of things about you. And I do think that sometimes we take that on. Like we start to assume all of these things in the same way that we assumed identity when we were straight. But when you're non-binary, when you're trans, people are still so confused that they're like, explain. And you have to keep explaining. And I have found out that the more that I explain, the more I realize it's literally changing all the time. And I have to imagine that that's the experience everyone's been having.
Yeah, but you're just forced to check in with yourself, like repetitive, like all the time.
All the fucking time.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I mean, also because even just coming out as a lesbian for a straight person, that's very binary to them. Like that's within, like even though they could be like, what? You're a lesbian?
Whoa.
Like mind blown. They're like, okay, so you like women and I've seen lesbian porn. Like their brain is immediately like in tune with what that could be, even though we know that's not what it probably is. But yeah.
That is like a brutal, I think, embarrassment. Is like, I want to like dismiss it as not harmful at all, but when you can tell when straight people have only seen like lesbian porn and they don't think about queer women as people, when they're like, that they just have this like idea of like two soft bodies being like,
no,
and like
literally.
No one's actually like touching, and like there's like really soft, everything's bad.
A lot of caressing. Yeah,
and I can see the straight people that I'm talking to when they like look at me and my partner and they're like, I just can't really imagine
like, what's
the
going on?
touching part. Yeah.
What's going on?
It's not that way.
Yeah. As if we're still like having, but do you feel like you have to answer more questions to queer people or to straight people? Like who's asking you more about your gender expression? Is there like more general curiosity from other queer people?
Queer people are asking because we enjoy talking about identity. We understand how fruitful it is. Straight people are asking because they just said something offensive to their friend and they're wanting to know how bad it actually was.
And you feel like a safe person for them to ask? Or
they're asking me about themselves through their questions about me.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? They're like, but you probably don't even care when people mess up the pronouns because you are knowing how hard it is for so many people.
Yeah.
And you're like, say that it's hard for you. Like it's hard. The pronouns are hard for you. You feel embarrassed by them. It puts you in a vulnerable position where like you could potentially mess up. The answer is, if I feel that your intentions are in the right place, which is either you don't know yet or you're just getting practice, I don't give a fuck at all.
Yeah.
And then when you tell them that, they're like, how would you know what someone's intentions are? And you're like, you're coming to me for war.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're like a patient person who can handle that kind of situation?
Up to like a fine point.
Yeah. And then are you like able to be like, okay, I'm not here to like answer all your questions? Or are you more like diplomatic about your swerving of?
I keep the same cadence that I have right now.
Yeah.
But I say something so belittling. like the way that I would do it is to like when I really feel like they're getting in a territory of being offensive to like my community.
Yeah.
Is I'll be like, I do actually understand how difficult this would be to understand, especially if you're not a reader. You're not, you don't identify as the best communicator. You're not a great listener. You don't have a lot of friends that don't look like you. And the funny thing is like, I'm roasting their ass. If someone said this to me, I would like literally be crying. And they're full ass like,
yes.
Thank you.
They're like, oh my God, you see me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for seeing me.
Thank you. Yes. God, that's what I've been telling people. I can't communicate.
You're just like intellectually like roasting the fuck out of them. Okay. I would love to see that happen in the wild.
I'm
sure it's happening.
Let's go for drinks.
Yeah, I'm sure it's happening all the time. I had Nikki Hiltz. I had Nikki Hiltz on my podcast recently, and they were saying that they felt like they were aware of their gender before they were aware of their sexuality.
Ah, so smart.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you feel similar, and you're from Ohio, right?
I'm from Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live in Ohio. I lived in Columbus, Ohio for a while too.
Oh.
So
Did you go to Ohio State?
no, I'm born in Dallas. Should I have winced? I'm born in Dallas. And then I moved to Ohio when I was like 5 and lived there till I was 7 and then went back to Dallas.
Why?
My dad got transferred there for work, and then my mom was like, I absolutely hate cold weather, and if you don't get me back to Dallas, I'm going to divorce you. And then we went back to Dallas, and she did divorce him anyway. So,
gotcha.
Sucker. So that happened.
Yeah, clown.
Literally. But we all got to live in Dallas and warm weather, and they're still there.
Now, like, getting rid of the wince and switching it up to, like, and Dallas.
And Dallas.
I love it.
Ever heard of it?
I love it.
But yeah, do you feel like you were aware of gender before sexuality, or was it like...
Yes, I thought I was straight because I thought I was a boy. And I was like, women are gorgeous and men are dumb, and anyone can see that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, that was all. Like, I did not have this massive... It was only in my teenage years that I started to really understand that, oh, shit, like, I thought everyone was perceiving me as, like, a boy with a ponytail.
Yep.
Like, I really hadn't even put that much thought into it. And then when I realized that was not the case, the deep, like, well of humiliation that happened, I turned into one of those kids that's, like, only ever in, like, a gray, like, sweatsuit and, like, my hair in front of my face and, like, kind of, like, making jokes all the time to survive, like, to point the energy anywhere other than someone but me. Yeah. Yeah. What about you? And where do you land now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Like, I would say, I ask people this question. I don't know. I don't know if it's offensive. Tell me if you think it is. And I don't intend to be offensive. But I will ask people, I'm like, do you feel if your soul was born in, like, the opposite gender's body, would you feel trans in that body? Like, I feel as though if you put my soul in a boy's body and I grew up my whole life, I would not feel trans at all. I would be like, this is my body. This is who I am. So I feel like in a way that almost makes me feel more connected to the idea of being, like, non-binary than, but I love being a woman because I think I idolize women so much. But, like, my gender expression and, like, how I feel is not necessarily, like, I don't know. I'm not, if there were a spectrum, I would be closer to non-binary than I would be to female.
What?
If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
The language is interesting because you're like, if there was a spectrum, I would be closer to non-binary. And there is a spectrum. And it sounds like...
Yeah.
Cool.
I heard Rachel Scanlon. Do you know her?
Oh, yeah.
She recently did, I just saw on TikTok, like, a stand-up thing of her. And she was like, I almost came out as non-binary, and then I realized I'm too Midwest to be non-binary, so I'm coming out as Midwestern or something. I think I'm probably butchering her joke.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I watched that, and I literally wrote in the comments, call me.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. I think I just don't have enough, like, discomfort to feel like I could own, own non-binary, because I'm like, I feel like there is a level of wanting to break a mold that you don't feel comfortable to be non-binary, you know, where I'm like, I sit in this and I sit comfortably. Do I see in myself something that feels different than, say, like, my girlfriend who's very feminine and, like, all things girl? Like, yeah, there's definitely something. We're not exactly the same. And there were definitely times in my life where I felt like a boy with a ponytail.
Yeah.
You know? But then there have been...
We've all been there.
Yeah. But there have been times where I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Like, even, I know you talked about it with, like, Mal on Made It Out, but, like, just decentering the male gaze even for yourself. And being from Dallas, like, even cutting my hair short, realizing that I'm, like, less attractive to, like, I get noticed less in spaces when my hair is short by men. Which I'm like, why do I care?
Your face, like, still very present. Like, it's the same thing. It's because they're not looking at humanity. They're looking for signifiers of your attunement to the male gaze.
And, like, availability to be theirs.
Yes.
in whatever capacity
the
they
minute
want.
you cut your hair, it's not about them not finding you hot. It's about them being like, well,
You're just not, they don't even notice you.
Not a tool for me.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing that felt so bizarre to me. Like the first time I cut my hair, just being like, oh my God, I used to feel like noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like I wanted people to talk to me. Just like I walked in a room and I felt people. But then it's crazy too, like now, because we're the same age, but like in 2024, when I had my hair short, noticing the people who were looking at me were a lot of women. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, this is kind of awesome too.
Yeah.
It's just like, but your brain is still...
truly nothing nicer than the female gaze.
Nothing nicer.
Nothing makes me feel better.
No, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it is truly meth for me. Like,
yeah, me too.
and I say that also because there is a come down.
Yeah,
and like when I'm on I have an all boy band right now, mm-hmm. and when I'm with them for a long period of time, I am like, when I go home to my gal, the relief that I feel is not like normal. It's not like end of a long day, I'm full ass like, oh woman. Thank you.
What do you think it is about like mask people and like all the jokes on TikTok of like femme girls being like, my mask like partner coming home at the end of the day and being like, baby? Like, what is that about?
I think those women are bragging. I think those women are bragging so hard. Like it's them being like, I made my mask so comfortable.
Yeah.
And they have to do it through like gentle chiding.
Yeah. And also they're like, you get this version of them and I get a different version of them. And
you
I'm
think they're
special.
So big and tough, but they're just my little guy. You're just telling us your kink.
No, literally. That's so true. Because it's such a trope. And it's always like really hot couples too, where you're like, you are just stoked that person is yours.
When I find out about it, when I find out that like the little cowboy is coming home and being like, carry me, I'm thrilled. I like shriek.
Me too.
It's so sweet.
I know.
And I think that feminine people have, I don't know, I do think of femininity as bigger than masculinity. Like it's just like more powerful, and not even in this like really enlightened, like, I think of it very literally that way.
Yeah.
And I think the masculine goes out and pretends to be big all day long. It pretends to be as big as femininity all day long, even going so far as to pretend that femininity is small. Mm-hmm. And so it's out there all day long, like being like...
like working hard, flexing.
Truly flexing. Yes. And so the minute that they come home, the feminine is still as big as it ever was. Mm-hmm. But they don't have to pretend to be small anymore like they do in the real world. So the feminine gets to spread out and the masculine gets to be held.
It's so real. It's so real. And also just so, I think people forget that all people have feminine and masculine
100%
characteristics. Like, especially in Dallas, let me tell you. They're like, boy is boy, girl is girl. It's like, is it though?
Really?
Is it really though? Like, you know it's not.
Really, Kendra? Because you planned like all your family's events for the last year. And when your husband fell out of line, we didn't see him for 6 months. Like, I'm pretty sure you're the boss, Kendra.
No, it's, oh my God, it was wild. Like, I was on a trip with them once and one of their babies was sick right as they left. And her husband called like 4 or 5 times being like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then the last call was like, how do I take the baby to the doctor? And she was like, you are kidding me. Like, figure it out, and hung up on him. Like, you don't know who the doctor is? You don't know who our baby's doctor is?
But that's the part where I stop, like, understanding. Like, I believe that people are people, and that we have, like, overlaid these weird roles onto them. I think, like, what you're talking about, even with non-binary, is, like, you're like, I think that I would feel comfortable in either body, and like I love being, you're like raised to be in a culture with women, and so you love them, and if you were born in a male body, that is actually a really beautiful understanding of self, that you're a human being. And that is when I came out as non-binary, it was not, there were moments of discomfort, but the real thing that was feeling uncomfortable was that I was not being seen as a human being. I was being seen as a role first, and I wasn't able to fulfill the role. So the discomfort was not with the transness. It was with the role of femininity that was like fucking up so hard. Yeah. I go back to this point. I believe that people are people. When straight people love each other, I don't think it should be illegal yet. I might change my mind. I'm thinking about it. I go back and forth. But when women get phone calls like that and they stay with those men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when another kid shows up and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You let baby man don't know how to take baby in car to doctor? You let baby man
have another
make
baby?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've lost a little bit of empathy here.
No, I agree. I also was actually genuinely impressed that she said, I'm not helping you with this, which is kind of wild in and of itself. That I was like,
that she
oh
held
my
her boundary.
God, good job. Yeah, hang up on his ass. But I'm like, I can't believe you took the 4th call. But it was their first baby. Let's hope that things have like evolved and gotten better. But like, yeah, I feel like there's also like a level of how much are we supposed to tolerate, you know? Like, I mean, like you could have empathy or sympathy for men for like growing up in a society that did not foster positive attributes for them.
You mean empathy?
You can have it.
You can have empathy for the fact that they were raised with a lack of empathy.
Yes.
And you don't have to let their lack of empathy control your fucking life.
100%. You can also have boundaries.
Yes. And actually in your boundaries, you know, in the boundaries that you create with these guys, if they actually love you, they'll work on gaining the empathy that they need to respect your boundaries.
100%.
And then even if you don't stay together, they move on, and the next person they're with, they're nicer to because you helped teach them empathy. Like, unfortunately, all of us not cis men are having to do the cleanup work from generations of people that did not want to teach boys how to be people first. Mm-hmm. They wanted to teach boys how to be conquerors first. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing left to conquer. The earth is dying. Women are fed up. Yeah. They're going to college at higher rates. They're getting higher earning jobs, and they're still doing all of the housework. They're still it's so much labor that we're asking women to do instead of just going, let's teach the boys to be empathetic.
Literally. But I have hope for this generation of mothers that like we are fed up. Like that there are a lot of women becoming conscious of how little we expect from men and raising their sons, in my hopes and dreams, to be better than their dads, which I feel like generationally we are always getting a little bit better, right?
Yes.
I mean, not Mother Nature, but
you know, the Gen Z is the one that has the boys that are registering as Republican at much higher rates.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah, and that is scary. But I think what happened with them is that they got parented by people that were like constantly saying things along the lines of, it's just so hard to be a white boy nowadays. It's just so hard to be a man. You know, people are coming after men all the time. And what that was in response to was a massive wave of social progression where we were like, hey, maybe we could all be people together. Maybe. And everyone got on board, and then people start to get pissed off. It's like a withdrawal.
It happens every time, doesn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that like just for like history purposes? Like there will be like an uprise, and then like the 70s, and then everyone's like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
and like stick to the status quo again. And then it's like, wait, what? And then we're mad again. And then we're I guess it's more of like oh my God, what is the word?
Cycles?
Yeah, but no, when you're complacent, like there's like uproar because people are like, what the fuck is this? And then everyone becomes more complacent again. Because they're like, okay, we kind of fixed, women can vote.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, let's sit comfortably in this. Like,
we
everybody
have a black president, so now we don't need to go out and vote.
Exactly.
And then we get Trump.
Exactly.
And it swings that fucking hard.
I think this is just the hardest swing we've ever swung in the last.
It's so hard. It's unbelievable.
But both sides are swinging hard, because I will say at the same time, like, we are having such a, like, queer people are having like within our own communities, like just so much more representation. I would say so much more queer joy, gender euphoria, and all of these other things, but also then the government at the same time, like trying to take all those things away. But the swings are happening at this like simultaneously, and I feel like that's the scariest part.
The government's fucking up because when the government tries to take something away from you, they admit that you have it. And they're like trying to take away all of our autonomy, and we're like, oh, so you admit it. We have autonomy.
Yeah, you're so right. I've never even thought about that before.
Yeah, they're so hungry. The government is so thirsty. They are the dorkiest people on the planet.
They're also the fucking oldest people on the planet.
100%.
Oldest fucking people. What is going on?
I was in Paris, and I ended up at a restaurant that Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham were at.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, collab of the century right there.
Ladies club. Bunch of she-hers in the same space.
Literally.
And they were so fucking heinous and withered and small and ugly on the inside and out. And I had this really deep understanding that the people that are legislating against other people's autonomy are just the angriest loser from your high school.
Literally.
And not the angriest loser in the sense that they were bullied, but the angriest loser in the more parallel to the way that we actually understand school shooters, which is that school shooters are not often actually a bullied child. They are the ones that feel the most entitlement to a reality that doesn't exist. That they feel entitled to the girls at their school, that they feel entitled to being the king of the fucking world. And so when it doesn't happen, they bring a gun to school. A lot of those boys grow up, and if they don't bring a gun to school, they become Ted Cruz.
Damn. Holy shit.
Ugly ass. I've never in my life seen two people look like that. That was fucked up. That was some skinwalker energy.
Oh my god. They should not be near you.
No.
They shouldn't be around in general.
It was weird. It was like the Dementors. Like when they like walked past, I like felt my soul like coming out.
Oh my god, you died a little bit that day.
100%.
As an actor, like how much gender euphoria do you feel getting to play a non-binary character?
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much fun. Like on Grey's specifically, when I got to where, Shrill was great too. Work in Progress was fun. Actually, I've had a really fun go.
Yeah.
Like all of and I just shot a friend's movie. Great outfits. The really fun part of Grey's was that it was really an outfit. You know what I mean? Like I was really putting on a costume. Like there's no reason in fun. God's green earth that I should be wearing that little lab coat. And I'm like wearing it with my little tie and walking around and feeling like the most dapper man.
Yeah. And you're a neurosurgeon?
Bitch.
Yeah, that's kind of fucking boss. Yeah, that has to be a good feeling.
It was a good feeling.
Do you feel like going forward, are you only interested in taking non-binary roles, or is that something you think about or like are open to? I
think that I would play anything if I was intrigued enough by the humanity of the person. Because so I work in the sports world sometimes, and for me always, as like when I was playing sports, the sports world is like feels like it's like 10 years behind sometimes in social things, even when they are 20 years ahead in other social things. And one of the slower things to happen in the sports world, I think because of legislation and all this like focused attention, is pronouns. There are a lot of she, her people in the league that is not the energy when you're with them that is true at all.
Boys in ponytails.
Yeah. And that's not like an attack on like, policing these things, but where you really look at these people and you go, oh, well, there are plenty of people that are experiencing so many different ranges of gender. I have access to a community that's really comfortable with they, them stuff, right? Like I'm in a really queer space. Yeah. And so they, them in the beginning was really nerve-wracking, but as it's gone on, it feels so fucking normal to me that it's actually weirder when I'm in spaces where people are messing it up. Totally. I'm like, oh, interesting. And I remember that not everybody's existence is that way, which is why I say I'm open to a bunch of different roles, because there are so many nuances to the way people are experiencing themselves. And not all of it is showing up in the most progressive language.
Yeah, totally. And also, you're an actor. So, like, when you're acting, it is not as yourself. Like, you're becoming someone else. So if you are attracted to whatever that story is, you're, like, open to
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to be it's fun to bring your truths to something while you get to play something that's like completely juxtaposed to your entire existence.
Totally. Do you feel like your music then is like, does it feel like deeply personal? Like, is it a way more your own thing, whereas acting is like you are someone else?
Yes, I like making music because what I've realized now that I've made enough songs is that I'm writing things as I experience them.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, I'll hear the song and be like, and like have realized that it took me all that time to fully process it, that I basically made like a journal entry.
Totally.
And then by the time the song gets recorded and mixed and you have the artwork for it and you're about to put it out, you're like listening to it and you're like, holy fucking shit, I really processed all that stuff. And so that's what the music is doing for me. It's like, it's actually keeping me kind of honest with myself.
Yeah.
And
so nice.
the acting is like, it's so much fun to do. And there's such a separation from the audience.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
I always think about that. I always think about, like, you know, people will be like, would you rather be a famous singer or a famous actor? I mean, I don't know if anyone ever asked you that because you're both.
People do ask.
But you know, like that, when
And
you're growing
hurts.
up. But when you're growing up, like people would ask me, and I can't do either of those things. So I would always say I'd rather be a famous actor, which is funny because a lot of people will say singer because I think it seems a lot more fun, you know? Like there's a lot of like fun and play with music. But my explanation for it is it's like, to be an actor, you could stay completely private. Like no one really has to technically know you. Like Kristen Stewart has managed to never have an Instagram, or like doesn't now. I don't know if she ever did, maybe. But like you get to decide how much access people have to you, versus when you're a musician, it feels very much like, at least in the past, that you had to give yourself to an audience and like you're selling you, which is fun to watch Chapel do something kind of separate. And also I think Lady Gaga did that first, where it's like, well, you think you're getting me, but this is art, you know? Lady Gaga did this thing where it's like
presentational.
Yeah. And they're not the first. I mean, there's like Prince. There's like lots of people who are doing like a, but like, I feel like when I think of artist, I usually think of more of like that raw, really like a journal entry. If I were a singer, I would be a singer like you. Like you would, I would be bearing my soul. I wouldn't be Chapel. So that's why I'm like, if I had to pick, I'd rather be an actor.
The truth is that they're both revealing. Like there's something about, never have I been more private in my life actually than after I did Grey's. And I got a much like broader audience, and I just felt all of myself like kind of like collapse in, where I was like, no. And there's, with the music, it's like you're packaging a memory. And so I have a song called Emmett that's about me and my dad, and that is probably the most like raw thing I have like out in the world. And I didn't really share it. Like I didn't ever do press on it. I didn't like share any stories about it. I like even kind of felt like I almost underplayed it on tour, because that was the one where I was like, oh, I hope that by putting this package out there, this presentation out there, I'm actually not giving too much away. But all of the other presentations that I was giving for all of these other songs were things that I'd fully processed. And with acting, it's like you're giving them an experience of this character, but then you're doing press.
Yeah.
And people think because they're seeing you as this character, they like kind of take elements of your humanity away, even like not intentionally. And so you've become an object to a lot of people, and they feel very entitled to the object that they see on their screen all the time. And I understand it because I have felt that way in the past too, where I've like seen someone and been like, I know you. Yeah. And not realize that like I don't know you. But that feels like getting secretly recorded and stuff while you're at the airport. Yeah. And it's because people don't think that you're a person. They think that you're Dr. Bartley.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so it's a weird different, you're losing privacy in both directions. It's just like, which one's cooler?
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And I never really thought about it like that. It also has to be, I mean, how has it been for you being on like a major network, like television show that's been digested like by my friend's mom, you know? Like you're getting probably like a big Midwest, South, not open-minded audience watching.
I got a really big benefit of when I joined the show. I was a love interest for Katerina Scorsone, who plays Dr. Amelia Shepard. And that character is so beloved. Like, it's so, she just has done such a beautiful job over so many years on the show. And so when I came on the show and showed that I was affectionate for her and, you know, was playing a character that was uplifting her story and bringing her story to the front, the fans looked past a lot of shit.
That's awesome.
There was actually much less of an adjustment period because they were so excited by how well these people were falling in love, and they were so excited for her character. I think it would have felt different. This is for you, Dykes. It would have felt different if I'd come on to be like a love interest for Jenny Schechter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes. Like, if I'd really come in for a villain, they'd be like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
But I did not. I came in for Dr. Shepard, and everyone was like, we love that boy.
Like, we don't know what's going on, but we love it. Yeah. That makes sense. Because she is such a beloved character. And, like, been on for so long.
Yeah. I think, like, 14 years.
That's
absolutely insane.
Absolutely insane.
And I'm 14 years old, so I can't even imagine.
So it's perfect.
That's my whole life.
That's all I've been alive. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Also, like, how powerful for you to have access to those living rooms, like, genuinely. Like, I think about that all the time. I think about, even though that happened and it was negative in a way that her mom would fast forward, I would go home and watch it on YouTube, you know? Yeah. So actually, at the time, I don't even know if YouTube was doing all that. I think I probably had to download it on LimeWire. But
ruin your whole fucking computer.
Yeah. But knowing it was there and it being on a show that everyone talked about, everyone was watching, and it, like, was on a channel that almost everyone has. Like, if you have, I mean, it's kind of crazy because now people don't all have cable. But at the beginning of Grey's Anatomy, it was like everyone had cable. Everyone had Channel 9.
Yeah, Channel 9.
Literally. And that's what I'm like, this is, I think just having access to living rooms is, there's so much power in that, because you could make your music, and that's the other cool thing about, like, being a musician is you're really only gonna attract an audience that is already, like, invested in you, or, like, finds you through your music and then already is, like, fucking with you as a person, versus you're forcing your way into living rooms whether people want you in there or not.
That's a great point. You're right. It's like with something like music, you can sometimes get lost with just the cool kids, like the people that are, like, looking for new music all the time and, like, want to be listening to this kind of stuff, this specific genre, whatever you're doing. Everybody watches Grey's Anatomy. I didn't even realize that until I was on the show. Everybody has seen it, at least one episode. Even the people that will tell me, I'll say that Grey's Anatomy, and they'll go, I don't watch it. I mean, I've seen like the first 5 seasons. And I'm like, you understand?
You don't watch it?
You don't watch it. You've seen the first 5 seasons. I haven't seen 5 seasons of anything.
5 seasons is longer than most shows.
100%. It's like a truly ubiquitous show.
Yeah.
And the real honor, I think, of, like, my lifetime thus far was realizing how much we were able to push the needle, because there, of course, when it started, I was getting a lot of death threats, which I think I've, like, spoken on this a little bit before, but I had, like, somebody reach out to me and be like, I will pay you $10,000 in cold hard cash if you kill yourself. And I was like, that is so low.
That is so low. And also, what am I doing with the money? How are you giving it to me? I'm dead now.
Like, think that through. Like, offer me $10 million. Tell me I have 1 year left.
Yeah, literally.
I would have thought about it.
Yeah.
I would have thought about it. But 10,000 and I have to kill myself first?
Yeah.
Bad business person.
Yeah.
Bad.
That's a bad deal.
Stupid.
No deal.
That's not a deal. Come back without the 10 million.
And the year.
Yeah, and the year.
Yeah.
But we were able to bring, when I went on tour and I got to be with people again and, not behind a camera, really, like, with an audience, a lot of the kids that come up and talk to me after shows, and I call them kids because they're, like, my babies. Like, I love them. They will come up and say, you're the first non-binary person I ever saw. You helped me come out to my mom. I got to get a hold of an entirely different demographic. And I just went on a trip to Italy with my mom like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we were walking down this like little side street in this tiny town in Sicily. And I'm not kidding, like in the morning in that Beauty and the Beast, when they're like all like busting out of the windows and they're like, eggs, whatever the fuck they say. Eggs. Yeah. Meat over here, milk. It was all these Italian people. They were like, truly, it started with one. It was this guy that owned a candy store, and he's like, huh? Today's another me.
No.
And he comes in, and he's like, take as much candy as you want. And I'm like, I have heartburn. But my mom and my brother were like, and then we leave the store. He calls his sister on the phone. She lives above, so she leans out the window and screams, Kai Bartley. And then they all start to come out of this town. And my mom had said this shitty little thing right before we went on the trip, where she was like, ha ha ha, we're going to go somewhere where no one knows you. How do you think that's going to feel?
We'll ate
never
her
know.
She literally ate her words and the candy. She's like,
she did.
Damn it.
Yeah.
You're kind of famous
heartburn
now.
Is hers.
That's really crazy. And how awesome. Also, I was going to ask you about the kids thing, because I've heard you in a lot of interviews refer to like people who admire you as kids. Mm-hmm. And I was curious. I'm like, are we talking literal children? I'm sure, yeah, also. But
I think that kid for me is close almost to like a dude in energy, but so it's never meant to be like pejorative, but there is a part of me that when I was coming up in the comedy scene, I saw so many men who had fans or people who were really excited about being in improv or learning improv from them or whatever. I saw so many of those men cross the line. And what we're really talking about all the time, I'm having conversations in my brain about power dynamics. And affectionately, what happens for me when someone comes to me and has found a part of their identity through a representation that I was very lucky and grateful to be able to provide, is that they are like in my house. They literally are like my family. Like if you came out to your mom by watching Grey's Anatomy, you're part of my family now. And I want to make sure that the separation, that people know that I know the separation.
I understand. Yeah. Especially because you're kind of like a sex symbol. Like,
yeah.
I've been seeing some little fan edits of you.
Thank you.
And they are good, first of all. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But there are
That's why
lot.
we moved to the studio. That's why we are not in the bed today.
Yeah. No, literally, this is for your protection.
Thank you.
No, but people like really like, and the shipping also, obviously.
The shipping was really hot.
It's a lot of
Thank
shipping.
you guys for those videos.
Lots of slow down.
Yeah.
Some of those people need like a full-blown job in editing. Like they're so good.
I can't believe it, especially because like I've tried to hire editors that are not of that generation to do things for me, like even like a music video, and I am referencing these kids' videos because they're so good at these edits.
It's why they're really like fan edits are very impressive, and I say fan edits because affectionately because I feel like that's what they're called, right?
And that being said, we would like one for this interview.
Yeah, I'm like, should I run my hands through?
Wait, yeah, dude.
You just did it as you said it. It's like you can't even help it. You're like, and if you want to make one for us, I'm like, I'm in a really weird hair length right now, so don't do anything.
No, you're looking like a very handsome little guy.
I'm like an in-between grow out, whatever. The bun has lived too many days, but...
You have the beautiful, you've got the beautiful, like, doe-eyed, like, gorgeous face that you're going to be able to do any hair length for the rest of your life, okay? There's going to be no awkward hair length for you.
That is so kind.
I've had awkward hair lengths.
I saw a really short haircut you had once.
Toupee. Yo, toupee. God damn. I like look back at those videos at the time, or like I forget what the fuck I was on. Oh, maybe it was Shrill. There's like a first season I was on Shrill. I look back and I'm like, bro, like you look like you got plugs. Like learn your face shape, my guy.
But it's like you're just like probably had like an exciting like you just got like buzzer happy. Like you're like, let's get rid of the ponytail.
Yeah. At some point the hair became, it never, these decisions don't happen over a long period of time. It's like one day you wake up and you're like, I am going to kill myself if I have to have long hair anymore. And it really is like this gender crisis where you're like, it's itching, it's everywhere.
Yep.
And you cut it off. And then even though you have a toupee on, you're like, I'm the most handsome man that ever lived.
No, literally. Like gender euphoria for a long enough period, and then you're like, holy shit, I actually hate this haircut though.
Yeah.
Love that my hair's short. Haircut would have done differently.
Yeah.
But we literally, I always think about this too. I think you kind of talked about, I hate to be like repetitive, but I feel like you kind of talked about it with Mal, but just like how it's interesting how like femme lesbians don't necessarily also, although they do sometimes too, go through like a gender expression confusion, which I guess a lot of femme girls do. They'll kind of like wear beanies for a year or 2 years and then be like, wait, I actually want to wear like a bodice. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I want. And I feel good in that. But like, it's interesting for like queer people who are also dressed, like need to change their whole entire closet. Like they come out of the closet and then they have to buy a whole new one. And it like, we make bad decisions.
It's puberty.
It's puberty.
It's puberty. It's humiliating. No one, I believe that, and Republicans are going to really like this one. I believe that after you come out, they should put you on an island for like 4 years for your safety. You are about to date the meanest person on the planet, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'm preparing you.
What the hell is that about? It's like it's either you fall in love with like literally the person that you're married to, or you come out and then you date like the one person who's meanest to you, and you're like, it's okay because I'm gay now, so this must be good.
It's the same thing with the haircut. You're like, this is good because it's,
you got a toupee. You got a mean ass femme. You're wearing a fucking button up that has flamingos on it. Calling myself out on that one.
maybe a bow tie.
It's like
Potentially suspenders.
We joked ahead of time about like talking directly to the camera, but this is a fucking PSA. This one is a PSA.
No,
This
please
is not
tell
for you.
No, please tell them.
This is.
I got out of that.
You got your little flat brim on, okay? You got a little beat on. You taking all these little selfies with the flash. Stop it. Go to the island and be safe. Okay, hunker down. Read.
Oh my God, please read. I'm talking to myself. Literally.
Please read.
No, it's so real.
What's your most embarrassing era?
I had an era on Tumblr. So like the way my coming up, my like, the reason I'm here today with you
Yes.
is because I had that experience in high school. The outing was terrible. And then I was like, obviously I'm not gay. This is like my exception. I just like this one girl. So I'm going to go to Oklahoma. I'll join a sorority. I will fall in love in a frat house.
No.
And then everything will be fixed.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'll save myself for marriage, obviously. That didn't happen. I woke up in Oklahoma in a sorority house with 100 beautiful women. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm a lesbian. So what am I going to do about that? Didn't know what to do.
Are you writing a book yet?
No. But I'm not a good. I need to read a book, remember?
You have to read.
I have to
but also,
read.
every story you've told me about like your queer journey has unfortunately been very hot to me, where you're like, I woke up in a sorority house surrounded by beautiful women, and I'm like, okay, I've read this somewhere else.
Yeah, no. I mean, maybe a movie needs to be done, but I need to read a book and then maybe I'll write a book. Mm-hmm. But I ended up in the sorority house. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anyone. There was no one queer around.
Of course.
I had LimeWired everything I could LimeWire. I didn't know what else to do. So I was watching YouTube, and this girl was like, all the lesbians are on Tumblr. And there weren't many YouTubers even at the time. So I was like, okay, Tumblr. I made a Tumblr. And what is the point of me telling this story?
I asked you your most cringe era.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So my Tumblr era, I get on there, I'm closeted, not even posting pictures of myself, and just like following all these lesbians being like, holy shit, like I didn't know we existed like this. Like, and it was like MySpace, but just for lesbians. That's what it felt like, because I got myself pigeoned in that little lesbian Tumblr world.
Yeah.
And then I started dipping my toe into being like, well, what if they knew I existed too? Like, I want them to see me too. So then I started like posting pictures, but I posted pictures like, I was like, what do lesbians obviously look like? I stole a hat
Oh, fuck.
from a frat house. put it on backwards,
savage. No.
called it a day. And then I had a snapback club or something where I like had this weird, I don't even remember. Someone probably remembers, but I like was like, post your snapback, and then a bunch of people did. And that was like my first experience with like growing like a online audience, and then had to panic and like deleted it and then came back.
Wow.
Yeah. Because then people were like messaging me on there being like, hey, Shannon, are you thirsty? Do you need a beverage? So I was like, oh my God, they know who I am. Because I had just said, my name's Shannon. I'm like from the South in a sorority. That's all I would like say. So then when they started to like figure out who I was like, oh no, fuck that. And then deleted it. And then winter break one year, I was like, I'm getting a little bored. I need to talk to some lesbians. Mm-hmm. So then I started posting my pictures again. And then the rest is history, kinda. It was like...
How did you get here?
I don't really know. From that?
Yeah, truly. Were there what are some milestones?
So I went from Tumblr to YouTube. And then I had a YouTube channel for a long time. And then I had 2 like really public breakups. And then I was like, oh my God, I want to disappear. Mm-hmm. And like, so I kind of like took some time away from the internet. And then I had another breakup. And then I was like, you know what I need to do? Start a podcast. No, I really just like knew I had this audience of people that I loved. And I feel very similar to you where they do feel like kids or family, like very, and like I feel, even though I was like watching all this representation like start, like seeing you in Grey's Anatomy or seeing like the movies, the TV, Heartstoppers, like all these shows and stuff, I was like, we still so desperately need like authentic queer voices and like real stories. And even though I think some of my issue was like shame that my relationships had like failed and publicly failed, and then being like, okay, I just want to hide away. And I'm like, you know, we have couples online that are like successful and married and having babies and all these things. I'm like, this is a reality of life too. Mm-hmm. Some lesbians go through breakups over and over again. Some. I hope it doesn't happen to you. It's been happening to me, but but I'm like, it's real. Like it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And if I think I have thicker skin than some, and I've been doing it for so long. I don't know. I'm just like, the podcast felt like kind of more like adult also, where I'm like having conversations with other people, and usually sometimes get to disclose less depending on who the conversation is with. You. God damn it.
Got you.
Really talking about my soul. But yeah, just depends.
It's nice. I think it's nice for people to know. And it is it's interesting to hear your story because it's familiar in that way of you had some like that inner light, that thing that people can see where they can tell you're coming from a good place, and so they want to be in your orbit. And so to use that to then kind of expand your brand so that you can increase your orbit, knowing how much that light has been helpful to people, is very cool.
That's very kind. Thank you so much. I am also stoked for the opportunity to like give the mic to other people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I have the platform. I've shared a lot. I'm like, I want to have conversations with people and let them share.
Yeah, that's cool.
And just gay people are so interesting. Queer people are so interesting.
It's crazy.
I've not had one single guest that I like left and was like, bummer. Like they've all been, I've learned so much. I'm like learning about myself every week, and like learning how to like, I don't know. It's honestly like a skill to be like an interviewer.
Yes, 100%.
And I don't consider myself an interviewer. I way more consider my podcast like conversation. But
you've done a lot of interviewing here today. Your
feel?
Questions were great.
That's so kind. Thank you. Okay, well, do I have anything else I wanted to ask you specifically? We have a couple advice questions that people sent in. But I will... Is there anything you wanted to talk about that you feel like you didn't get the chance to say today?
No, I had a really lovely time.
Okay, amazing. The only thing I was going to say is, do people don't believe that your last name is real, do they?
People do not believe that my last name is real.
Yeah, me either, but beverage... But the spelling makes it. But at a bar, bartenders love me.
Beverage?
I'm like, you have a tab open? I'm like, yeah,
get them
beverage.
Out of here. Yeah.
They love it.
Okay. That is kind of... What is the origin of the name?
It's Scottish. And
Say it like that.
No fucking way. No way.
Come on.
No, that's like my nightmares. Like when someone tries to do a bit with me with accents. Like I'm in a bar and they're like, ooh, my lady. I'm like, stop it. Like I'm just like, I can't go with you there. Like you're going to have to do that accent now on your own. And then I just like smile and say like, "Oh my God, I'm dead." Like I'm not a good.
Oh my God, I'm dead is such a funny way to like pull the parachute.
I can't do a bit. I cannot. Like I can like do a sarcastic bit or like a self-deprecating bit, but like when someone tries to be like, when it gets to theater and improv, I'm sorry, improv is like my biggest nightmare in the world. Like even going to a show, I feel as though I am performing improv because I'm like, I hope they can do it. I hope where are they going? I hope it goes well. But Second 100%. City is fucking awesome. I could go every night because y'all are so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about it. I would also love to just be your friend if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You guys, you can follow ER on all of their socials. I'll have them in the link below. And do you have anything coming up, like career-wise, that they should...
Yeah, I got a show in LA at the end of October. I actually don't know if I'm supposed to say it yet, but I have a show. I'm opening it for Julian Baker at the Bellwether in LA.
Okay.
October 25th, I think. My God.
Come on.
I just went and saw them at what's it called? The fest at Chapel.
All Things Go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Julian is like the first and last rock star I think I've ever really seen. Like I've seen so many of my friends are so talented, but there's something so specifically like rock star about Julian. I love Jay.
That is like a dream team. You're like just kind of like a tall version.
100%. It's really hard not to call Julian my son. Because really they're a father to me. You know what I'm saying? It's a cycle. I am father, I am son. It's
like how the taller sibling is always the younger sibling. That's y'all. Okay, so go to the show. Yeah. And do you have like an album coming out?
Just put out a Barracuda cover of Barracuda that I think you'll like.
Perfect.
Yeah, I hope you guys kiss to it.
Okay, amazing.